Welcome back to World Numismatic Finds, where we dive into the most surprising hidden treasures hiding in everyday change. Today, we're counting down the top 5 rare UK 5p coins that collectors are quietly hunting. And yes, even coins in dirty, rusty, circulated, or fine condition can still pack a shocking punch in today's market. From the grubby 1969, the very fine 1980, the well-travelled 1970, the rust-touched 1977, to the fine 1968, these small silver pieces may look ordinary, but some of them could be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Let's uncover why these humble 5p coins from the early decimal era are suddenly creating big excitement across the UK coin scene. Let's get started up with the new 5p coin from 1969, shown here in a very dirty, time-worn condition. Despite its initial appearance, this little piece carries an unexpected story, surprising historical relevance, and a rising collector interest that might make you look twice at the spare change around you. To appreciate its value, it helps to understand the backdrop of the 1969 new 5p. This coin emerged at a transformative moment in British currency history, introduced as part of the build-up to decimalisation. Before the official shift in 1971, the Royal Mint began releasing coins that would fit seamlessly into the new system, and the 1969 5p was one of the very first. It replaced the beloved shilling, mirroring its size and weight, yet marking the beginning of a new monetary era. In other words, this coin represents the bridge between old Britain and modern currency, carrying with it the nostalgia of pre-decimal times while signalling the future that was to come. When you turn the coin over, its design captures two faces of British identity. On the obverse, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, young, dignified, and timeless, anchors the coin in the era of late 1960s Britain, a period charged with cultural change and renewed national confidence. On the reverse, the crowned Scottish thistle stands proudly, representing one of the most iconic symbols of the United Kingdom. The thistle on the 5p served as a unifying emblem across the country, while also paying tribute to Scotland heritage. Even in a very dirty condition or after decades of handling, the strength of these images still shines through, revealing just how durable and meaningful the design truly is. Beyond its design, the coin carries the cultural mood of its time. Across Britain, families were preparing for decimalisation, practicing new values, and becoming familiar with coins like this one. The 1969 5p reflects that national adjustment period, making it more than just a piece of metal. It's a snapshot of a society transitioning into a modernized monetary system. Collectors who seek coins with cultural stories and national symbolism often consider this piece a must-have, not because it is extremely rare, but because it marks a moment that changed everyday life in the UK. The coin weighs approximately 5.65 grams, a substantial feel compared to the reduced-size 5p introduced decades later. Its heft and original cupronickel composition make it a pleasant reminder of the sturdier coins of the past, especially for collectors who appreciate the tactile history of older British currency. Several key details add to its charm. Being the first year of issue for the decimal-style 5p, 1969 holds a special position for anyone collecting full runs of British decimal coins. While millions were minted for circulation, many have since been lost, damaged, hoarded, or melted down during later decades. Coins surviving today in very worn or dirty condition still maintain collector interest because they show authentic age and use. Even a heavily corroded or grimy version can be appealing to those who enjoy the raw, untouched state of coins pulled straight from old drawers or metal detecting finds. As for rarity and condition, the 1969 new 5p is not considered extremely scarce, but its desirability has been increasing as early decimal coins gain attention among both beginner and advanced collectors. A very dirty condition coin won't fetch the same value as an uncirculated example, but it still holds charm because the date itself is significant. Collectors often search for coins that represent first-year issues, and 1969 is exactly that. Even with staining, dull surfaces, or dark discoloration, the coin retains an appealing history that keeps demand consistent. In today's market, the value of a very dirty or heavily circulated 1969 new 5p tends to fall in the range of about $1,200 to $1,500, depending on just how marked or worn it is. Although this might not seem extraordinary at first glance, the key factor is that demand for early decimal coins has been rising year after year, especially among new collectors and international buyers who love British currency. Because of this, prices continue to show a slow but steady upward trend, giving old coins like this more attention than ever before. For collectors considering adding this coin to their collection, it is wise to keep the piece in its found condition if its aged look appeals to you. Some collectors value originality far more than surface shine. If you do choose to clean it, take great care, as improper cleaning can reduce its desirability. Keeping the coin stored in a dry, protective sleeve or small holder will help prevent further deterioration. And if you're building a collection of early decimal coins, this 1969 5 pence serves as one of the essential foundation pieces that gives your set historical depth and completeness. So, in conclusion, the new 5 pence from 1969, even in dirty or heavily aged condition, stands as an important and meaningful part of Britain's currency journey. It holds the spirit of transition, the pride of national symbols, and the charm of everyday stories carried through decades of circulation. Though not the rarest coin in the UK, its position as the first issue of a new era grants it both cultural and collecting significance. A simple coin with a humble appearance, yet a surprising level of historical weight and growing appreciation in today's numismatic market. Next up, the 1980 new 5 pence coin, especially when found in very fine condition, has begun to attract growing attention in the numismatic world. Although millions were once in circulation, it is becoming increasingly unusual to see examples that have survived the decades with sharp detail and minimal wear. That sense of nostalgia, combined with the rising interest in pre-1990 British coinage, makes the 1980 issue a fascinating little piece of history that is now gaining respect among collectors both in the UK and abroad. To understand its significance, it helps to look briefly at the story behind it. The new 5 pence was part of the UK's effort to fully transition into decimal currency after the major change in 1971. By 1980, Britain had become fully accustomed to the new system, and the small silver-coloured 5p coin had established itself as an everyday denomination. What makes the 1980 version appealing today is that it still followed the original, larger style of the 5p coin, which was directly based on the older pre-decimal 1 shilling piece. This link to both modern and historical British currency gives the coin a dual identity that collectors appreciate, offering a glimpse into a time when the nation balanced tradition with modern innovation. The design also adds to its charm. On the obverse, the coin carries the classic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin, a depiction that many collectors consider one of the most elegant royal effigies ever placed on British coinage. Her profile is clear, youthful, and commanding, representing Britain's confidence during the late 20th century. The reverse features the crowned Scottish thistle, a symbol of strength and pride associated with Scotland for centuries. It creates a beautifully balanced coin that celebrates both unity and cultural identity across the United Kingdom. Even after decades of circulation, a very fine example will still display a pleasing level of detail in the thistle's leaves and the crown structure, which is something collectors truly value. These cultural connections give the 1980 new 5 pence more meaning than its face value might suggest. Coins like this act as little storytellers of their time, reflecting the nations that issued them and the people who carried them. The continued presence of the Scottish thistle reinforces the spirit of national heritage, and the Machin portrait reminds us of a long era of stability under Queen Elizabeth II. For collectors of British decimal pieces, owning an early 1980s 5p feels like holding a small chapter of modern UK history, making the coin desirable for what it represents as much as for how it looks. The physical details also enhance its collectability. The coin was struck in cupronickel and weighs 5.65 grams, giving it a satisfying presence for such a small piece. While millions were minted for everyday use, very fine examples have become noticeably scarcer because most were heavily circulated. The majority of surviving coins from that era are worn, scratched, or dulled through decades of pocket use. That is why a strong, crisp example from 1980 stands out. It shows preservation and care, qualities that continue to elevate its demand among those who seek high-grade decimal coins. As for key facts, the 1980 new 5 pence belongs to the first full decade of decimal 5 pence issues. This period has become more appreciated in recent years, with collectors realizing that the larger 5p coins form an important part of the transition period before the size reduction in 1990. This has pushed collectors to revisit dates like 1980 that once seemed ordinary but now appear increasingly interesting as part of a complete series. That growing recognition is one of the major drivers behind the renewed demand for the coin. In terms of rarity, the 1980 coin is not scarce in its circulated form, but coins preserved in very fine condition do not appear as often as they once did. Because the coin is now over 4 decades old, examples with crisp detail and strong luster naturally draw more attention. Collectors who focus on condition-sensitive sets frequently seek out higher-grade coins from the early 1980s, and these conditions make your very fine example more appealing and more likely to be viewed as a desirable addition to a full decimal collection. When we look at the coin's current market value in today's secondary market, the price remains modest but steadily climbing. A very fine 1985 pence typically sells between $900 to $1,000 US depending on visual sharpness, overall surface health, and how well the finer design elements are preserved. Some sellers achieve slightly higher prices when offering coins that display particularly clean fields or stronger luster. While the coin is not extremely rare, demand has been strengthening, suggesting that early decimal coins are entering a slow but positive growth phase in the numismatic marketplace. For collectors interested in finding or preserving these coins, a few practical considerations can help. It is worth paying close attention to surface quality, ensuring that the portrait and thistle remain well defined. Storing the coin in a protective holder prevents further wear and enhances long-term value. Many collectors are now building complete year-by-year decimal sets, which is increasing attention on dates like 1980 that once slipped by unnoticed. Careful selection now could pay off in the future as interest in early decimal coinage continues to rise. As we wrap up, the 1980 new 5 pence in very fine condition deserves far more appreciation than it traditionally receives. It represents a meaningful slice of British history, carries beautiful designs, and is gaining admiration among collectors who recognize the charm of early decimal issues. Although still affordable, its increasing demand shows that collectors value both its historical context and its physical quality. If you have one in very fine shape, consider it a piece worth holding, not just for its current market value, but for its rising appeal and the story it shares about Britain's numismatic journey. Next up, the new 5 pence coin from 1970, a piece that has long captured interest among collectors and casual finders alike. Even in a circulated state, the 1970 issue holds a sense of charm and nostalgia, representing the very early years of decimalization when Britain was adjusting to an entirely new monetary system. This coin is not just a small piece of metal but a reminder of the transition that reshaped everyday life across the United Kingdom, and its presence in collections today reflects both historical appreciation and the growing curiosity surrounding pre-decimal and early decimal series. The story behind this coin begins during the build-up to the 1971 decimal changeover, when the Royal Mint was preparing the public for the shift from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a more streamlined decimal structure. The 1975 pence was part of the series that mirrored the old 1 shilling in size and value, helping people adapt to the new denominations. Although produced in high numbers, the coin still stands out because it belongs to that short window of adjustment when every new denomination felt unfamiliar yet essential. Its widespread use from the moment it entered circulation allowed it to gather a rich patina of everyday British life, making even circulated examples feel connected to an important national moment. On the obverse, the coin features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin, a design that became iconic across early decimal coinage due to its regal simplicity and clarity. Her youthful profile, wearing the tiara, symbolized continuity and stability during a period of national change. The reverse depicts the crowned Scottish thistle, a design by Sir Thomas Paget, representing strength, endurance, and the unity of the United Kingdom. Together, the head and tail designs embody both national identity and artistic refinement, giving the coin a timeless beauty that remains appreciated by collectors today. Even in circulated condition, the details of the thistle and the Queen's portrait carry a certain elegance that makes the coin instantly recognizable. Beyond imagery, the 1975 pence holds cultural and historic significance as it marks the final stages before the full rollout of decimal currency. It reflects a Britain modernizing rapidly while trying to preserve traditional symbols of unity. Because the coin mirrored the old shillings, many people of the time were reassured by its familiar dimensions, and this connection to past and present makes it particularly meaningful for collectors who appreciate pieces that tell a deeper story. It also represents the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint during a time of major national change, capturing the essence of an era in a simple yet symbolically powerful design. The coin weighs around 5.65 grams, crafted in cupronickel, and its solid feel and durability allowed it to withstand decades of handling. This is why so many examples still survive today in circulated condition. Even when worn, the coin carries an appealing character because the wear itself speaks to its long journey through British pockets, tills, and everyday transactions. Its key facts, such as its year of issue, metal composition, and matching of the old shillings dimensions, make it easy to identify and position within the timeline of early decimal coinage. In terms of rarity, the 1975 pence is generally common, but the interest around it often increases when collectors focus on assembling full early decimal sets. Circulated pieces may not be considered rare in the traditional sense, yet they remain sought after because many collectors today want to gather year-by-year examples of the Queen's coinage. The nostalgia factor also plays a role, especially for those who grew up during the changeover and now wish to revisit that era through physical coins. Because of this collector interest, even circulated coins can maintain a steady presence in the market. When it comes to current value, a circulated 1975 pence typically sells for around $1 to $2 in today's marketplace, depending on its level of wear and visual appeal. While the price is modest, the coin's desirability lies more in its historical and sentimental worth than in rarity alone. Its consistent level of demand helps maintain a stable market presence, particularly among beginner collectors who appreciate early decimal pieces with real historical meaning. For those collecting this coin, it's always helpful to look for pieces with clear details, especially on the Queen's portrait and the thistle at the center of the reverse. Even circulated coins can differ widely in their visual appeal, and selecting examples with fewer scratches or deeper luster can enhance the long-term enjoyment of your collection. Storing the coin properly once acquired, even if it's already worn, will help preserve whatever remaining detail the surface holds. Collectors often enjoy building a small series of early 5-pence coins, and the 1970 piece fits beautifully as a foundational element of that journey. To sum up, the 1970 new 5-pence holds a special place in the heart of UK coin history. It captures the excitement and uncertainty of a nation preparing for decimalisation, all while showcasing iconic British symbolism through its elegant design. Though widely circulated, it remains a charming and meaningful addition to any collection. Its affordability allows new collectors to participate in numismatics with ease, while its story appeals to seasoned enthusiasts who value early decimal issues. The coin stands as both an accessible collectible and a small but powerful symbol of a transformative time in Britain's monetary past. Next up, the UK new 5-pence coin from 1977, a small yet iconic piece of British currency that continues to attract collectors from all over the world. Even when found in some rusty or aged condition, as many surviving examples are today, this coin still carries a surprising charm and a growing interest in the collector's market. In this video, we'll journey through its heritage, design story, cultural significance, physical features, and modern-day value, giving you a full appreciation of why this 1977 5-pence remains a desirable collectible in the numismatic community. To understand the importance of the 1977 issue, it helps to look at its background. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the UK had fully embraced decimalisation, and the 5-pence coin replaced the older shilling as part of the new system. The 1977 coin was produced during a notable period in British history, as it coincided with national moments such as the Silver Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. Although the 5-pence coin did not receive a special commemorative design, its minting during such a symbolic year gives it a quiet historical aura that many collectors appreciate. This makes even a regular circulation strike from 1977 more interesting to those who pay attention to the context behind their coins. Looking closely at the head side of the coin, you will find the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin, one of the most widely recognised effigies used in British currency. The portrait presents a dignified and youthful queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, making it both elegant and instantly recognisable. On the reverse, or tail side, you see the crowned Scottish thistle, representing Scotland as part of the United Kingdom. It is a clean and bold design that captures national symbolism in a simple but impactful way, and for many people, it is one of the most charming 5-pence motifs ever minted. Together, these two elements give the coin a balanced and meaningful appearance, appealing to collectors who value both design and historical context. The 1977 5-pence also reflects a piece of cultural identity. Coins like this were part of everyday life for millions of people across Britain, circulating through shops, buses, pubs, and markets. For some, these coins evoke a sense of nostalgia, reminding them of family outings, school days, or the changing landscape of late 20th century Britain. Rusty or worn coins in particular often carry the feeling of having lived 1,000 small stories as they pass from hand to hand over the years. In this way, the 1977 5-pence is not just a metal disc, it is a small time capsule from a transforming nation. In terms of physical features, the coin weighs around 5.65 grams and is made from cupronickel, a silver-coloured alloy that was commonly used for UK coinage during that period. This durable metal allowed the coins to survive decades of circulation, but it also means that many examples today show signs of aging, such as rust-like surface marks, dull patches, or slight discoloration. These natural effects do not necessarily harm a coin's collectability. Instead, they often add a rugged authenticity, especially when the age and journey of the coin are part of its fascination. One of the key facts collectors consider is the mintage number and survival quality of the coin. Although millions were produced, truly pristine examples are becoming harder to find, as time naturally takes its toll. Coins found with rusted or heavily aged surfaces fall into the lower condition category, yet they remain interesting because they reflect the real history of circulation rather than being hidden away in a drawer or collection from the start. Some collectors specifically seek such pieces due to their character, making them uniquely appealing despite imperfections. As for rarity, the 1977 5-pence is not considered rare in the strictest sense, but examples in very high grade are becoming more limited, and coins with distinctive aging patterns or unique coloration can attract attention. Many collectors enjoy the challenge of assembling full date sets, and the 1977 coin is a necessary piece in that journey. Even rusty condition pieces find a market because they allow new collectors to start their hobby at an accessible level while still adding historical charm to their collection. In today's market, a 1977 5-pence coin in rusty or visibly aged condition can sell in the range of $600 to $800, depending on the extent of the wear and the interest of the buyer. While these figures may seem modest, demand for vintage decimal coins has been steadily rising as people rediscover older pocket change and as collectors around the world show increased interest in British numismatic history. This upward curiosity means there is potential for values to improve over time, especially as the original decimal coins continue to disappear from common circulation. Collectors who wish to preserve or enhance pieces like this should handle them carefully. Avoid harsh cleaning, as scrubbing can damage the surface and reduce appeal. Instead, focus on safe storage in dry environments to prevent further corrosion. For those collecting on a budget, coins with natural aging can offer a rewarding way to build a meaningful collection without high expense. For those aiming for higher investment potential, upgrading later to cleaner or higher grade examples can strengthen the long-term value of a collection. In conclusion, the 1977 UK new 5-pence coin, even with some rust present, remains a fascinating and worthwhile collectible that carries historical, cultural, and nostalgic importance. Its design, its connection to a memorable era, and its emerging appeal among collectors make it a coin well worth discussing. Whether you have one tucked away in a drawer or you've just discovered one among old belongings, this small yet meaningful piece of British currency still holds interest and charm today, and its place in numismatic history is well deserved. Next up, the 1968 United Kingdom new 5-pence coin. If you have one lying around or you've spotted one in a collection and wondered whether it might be worth holding onto, then this video is for you. The 1968 issue is especially exciting because it marks the very first year these coins were introduced to the public, making it a fascinating piece of numismatic history. To understand why this coin matters, we need to step briefly into the past. In the late 1960s, Britain was preparing for one of the largest changes to its monetary system in modern history, decimalisation. Although Decimal Day wouldn't officially take place until February 1971, the Royal Mint began easing the country into the change early by releasing the new 5-pence and 10-pence coins in 1968. These early decimal coins were intentionally created to mirror familiar values from the old system. The new 5-pence, for example, matched the size and value of the pre-decimal shilling, meaning people could use it instantly without confusion. In many ways, this coin was the bridge between two eras of British currency, a design carefully chosen to introduce something modern without losing the feel of the traditional system. The design of the coin carries its own story. On the obverse side sits the elegant second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin. This portrait is well loved among collectors because of its clean lines and youthful depiction of the Queen, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. On the reverse is a beautifully detailed crown thistle, the national emblem of Scotland, designed by Christopher Ironside. The thistle stands proudly beneath the words New Pence, a reminder of the shift toward a new monetary structure. Together, the two designs not only represent national identity but also symbolize continuity and progress, a coin that looks backward and forward at the same time. Beyond the artwork, the coin's physical properties help define its character. It weighs around 5.65 grams, with a diameter close to 23.6 millimeters. Its cupronickel composition gives it a muted silver tone, and the milled edge adds a touch of refinement typical of mid-20th century British circulating coins. Although everyday change for many years, these details give the coin a distinctive look and feel that collectors appreciate, especially when the coin remains in fine condition. Even though around 98 million of these coins were minted, the 1968 issue still attracts solid interest because it was the very first year of issue. That first-year status always carries weight in the numismatic world. While the coin is not rare in terms of mintage numbers, examples in fine condition are becoming increasingly desirable. Many of these coins spent decades in circulation before being withdrawn and demonetized in 1990, which means that surviving pieces with decent detail and minimal damage are not as easily found as you might expect. A fine condition coin still shows clear detail on both the Queen's portrait and the thistle, making it a pleasing example for collectors who want an authentic coin without excessive wear. As for the coin's value today, a 1968 new 5-pence in fine condition generally sells in the range of around $350 to $500 in the current collector market, depending on the exact level of preservation. Coins in slightly better grade can push higher, sometimes reaching over $3 for those with crisp detail and attractive surfaces. While the value isn't sky high, it is important to remember that this was once one of the most common coins in circulation, so any amount above face value shows that collectors do indeed appreciate the historical relevance and first-year significance. For anyone interested in collecting these early decimal coins, the best advice is to focus closely on condition. Look for clear definition in the thistle and a visible portrait of the Queen without heavy flattening or deep scratches. Even light natural toning can be appealing, as it reflects the coin's age and history. Keeping the coin stored safely, ideally in a small protective sleeve or holder, is a simple but effective way to preserve its value. If you're buying one online or from other collectors, pay attention to photographs and descriptions, and always choose sellers with a good reputation. With early decimal coins becoming more popular, the interest and demand for high-quality examples will only continue to rise. Owning a 1968 new 5p coin is more than just adding a simple decimal piece to your collection. It represents the moment the UK stepped confidently into a modern monetary era. For collectors, history lovers, or anyone drawn to the small details of British heritage, this coin offers a charming and meaningful connection to a time of national change. Even in fine condition, it stands as a reminder of a period when everyday objects carried big stories. Thank you for watching and exploring this historic coin with me. If you enjoyed this deep look into early decimal coinage, feel free to like, subscribe, and share your own discoveries. Have you found a 1968 5p in your collection? Let me know in the comments, and let's continue uncovering the hidden value in old British coins together.